Hi, we are, for our presentation, we are going to present the PHP coding language. Now this allows for easier communication between code, database, and within a dynamic web server framework. But first we have to contextualize all this. So static websites are the most simple. All you have to do is send HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and through this you can have bits of text, JPEGs, whatever represented on it. Now this is easy, but the downside is that it's all static, so it's going to display the same thing to everyone, regardless of the user, and that's the end of that. But we have alternatives.
So the main advantage of dynamic websites is that they are connecting to the databases, so we can easily pull out the information, or we can store large amount of information. For example, an online shopping website is a dynamic website where it can store user payment information, personal profile, or the order history. In contrast, the static website can only display fixed data.
Like a more reasonable view of it. On the left you see a static website, it's just text and pictures and stuff. On the right you have it's a lot more varied. You have like links, user info, user login, updates, and this is all made possible due to dynamic web servers. And with our language, PHP, we can make that it's simplified, unlike doing it by other means.
So what is PHP? PHP is often combined with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So we have an example here. Inside the PHP, we have the $sign. The $sign is used to declare variables, and we don't need to care about the type of the variables. And the PHP is end with question mark and the end of bracket. The first step of doing the formal validation is make a table in HTML. In the body paragraph, first we have name, and then the input type is text, because name is in the text format. And we do the same thing for the email, and BR is just for making the new line. On the gender, we make a radio button for user to select, so the type of the button is radio. And we put comment box below. We need to specify the number of nodes and the columns. And in this case, we can just put the nodes equal to 5 and columns to 40. Finally, we have the submit button. The format data is sent for processing to a PHP file. Now let's run it. So we have the form here. If I type numbers in the name box and the submitter, it's not giving me any error message. So we don't want that. The next step is the PHP part, so where the PHP can check if the user input is valid or invalid.
But we can use a PHP file to remedy the past file. Ultimately, adding some validation So first we start up our server, courtesy of Apache. And here we enter names here. And it detects some rather bad forms, but here we have it. So here we have our validation code, and we can use it to send and make sure that we can properly parse our code to test it. Now, the proper text, everything. Luckily for us, it can detect our invalid email with the proper code. And eventually, the way it does this is by being able to communicate between a web browser and, thanks to PHP, we can have an actual program that's coded in, manipulating, and acting as an intermediary when it needs to be between SQL, a database, and the client. And as opposed to where the server is simply updated by a client sending a file. What we have here it's a simplification, a streamline between everything.